Hey guys, welcome to Dozer Rescue. I'm Dozer, and in today's video, we're going to be covering my Apple Watch configuration and how I have it set up as a flight medic. So without much more to say, let's get right into it. All right guys, so this is going to be the setup of my Apple Watch when I'm performing my duties as a flight medic. So the first thing that you may notice here is this is kind of a harder, rugged case. This is really important because I've noticed when I've taken this case off or had just the standard case on the watch, I have really damaged the watch. And as you can see there, I've nicked it a couple times right there on the screen, on the back end of it. It's not too bad there, but I would highly advise getting yourself a rugged, durable watch strap or watch cover. You can buy them all over. I bought a couple here just off of Amazon. I think they were close to 25 bucks. And I got them in a bunch of different colors. I got one in tan, olive drab. The black one is right here. And they go well with any uniform. You can, be a little fashionista and customize them. But the most important thing is they're going to protect your watch. And these little things were like $20 on Amazon. Like I said, 25 bucks, somewhere right around there. And it has done a phenomenal job protecting my watch. So that's the first thing. Second thing here, as you'll notice on my setup, I don't have a passcode on. Now this is really important because when you're doing your flight duties, you have so many different things going on at the same time. It's not advantageous for you to have a passcode on here, because if you're trying to get some vital information from your watch, maybe it's too dim, it's not reading when you're flicking your wrist up and it's looking at you, it may not be activating. So being able just to hit this little side button here, the little crown, and making sure that it's turning on very quickly is really important. So that's one big thing I've noticed when I've been using my watch on flights, is making sure my passcode is off. Next thing we have here, so this watch face, this is called the Modular watch face. I believe it's just a standard one that comes on all Apple Watches. I don't think it requires any downloading. But so this is kind of my bread and butter here. So if we go ahead and take a look, starting in the lower left corner, we have my battery here. This is important for me because when I'm doing long flights, anywhere from like 12-hour flights or things like that, it's really important to keep an eye on my battery. So that way I can charge it when I'm taking a break, and just kind of keep an update for myself on where my battery's at. This can also get replaced. I will replace that with the decibels complication. So if you just hold on the watch here, go to edit and select your complications. This is how you choose all your variety of complications here. So one of the ones I will use is the right here, the sound levels, the decibel levels. And that's just good for me to know my environment. How loud really is it? And do I need extra ear protection, or can I get away with not wearing anything over my ears for a little bit? Sorry about the fingerprints, it just happens on this thing. So that's it for this lower corner. Going here to the middle, this is going to be my Julian date. Now this is really, really important when it comes to charting patient information, especially in the military. Julian dates are needed all the time, very frequently. So being able to just, as you can see here, this is just with the watch face, the auto on. So being able to see that very quickly at a glance, today's 113, is really, really helpful for patient charting. And just overall letting your crew know what the Julian date is. So then we got over here, we have a small calculator. This is great for going out to restaurants because you can type in your total amount and it'll give you the tip. So let's say our bill was 20 here, or 200. We can go to tip and we can see right there what a 20% tip is and all that. So that's fun, off duty, but the importance of this on duty is having that ability to calculate very quickly. So if you're trying to calculate your TBSA for a burn patient, or you're trying to calculate an IV drip, it's really, really awesome to have a calculator right here on your wrist so you can get that calculation immediately, especially if you're dealing with peds per kilogram. It's all right here, very accessible and easy to do. You don't actually have to go out of your way. You can stay right there with the patient and calculate it on the fly. Next thing we have here that's of importance is Zulu time.
So this is very important for me because this allows me to see our Zulu time wherever we're at. It also gives me the local time as well. So this is super important. When I do my flight duties, I typically try to give my crew as much time hacks as possible, just out of courtesy for charting and just to let them know where we're at on the flight. So being able to instantly click on here and let them know what the Zulu time is and then what our local time is based on where we're at is a huge plus. Next thing we have here is the actual time, standard military time, nothing special there. This was a setting, you can choose however you want the date displayed. I really like having the day of the week and then having the actual date itself. I find that helps me out a lot with my charting and just letting my crew know, especially if we're flying in different time zones or transferring over. Hey, today is now Sunday. Tomorrow, being able to identify which day it is. Because on those long flights, you can kind of forget where you're at. And when the time zones cross over, you may forget, what day it is. So, especially when you're tired. And then finally, I have here my stopwatch. This is just kind of useful for a variety of different things. If you're taking a patient's vitals and you go in here and hit, there's a lot of presets here. I like the digital. But you can just hit that and then make sure, hey, every 5 minutes you're going to check your patient's vitals. Or maybe you have a duty you have to do every so often. So having a stopwatch is great for that. You can also do a stopwatch if you're checking a patient's pulse rate. You're doing that manually. You can do that as well. There's a couple different settings on here: hybrid, graph, digital, and analog. But a stopwatch just has many uses. It's a multi-use function, and it's just really important to have. So this as a whole is my setup, especially when I'm doing my flight duties. Now you can customize this however you need to, but I've noticed this setup in particular makes my job a whole lot easier on the aircraft. Again, because I've got my Julian date, I've got my Zulu time, my local time. I can go in there and switch between them. I can also offset them as well. So I can include another time zone, or let's say I'm flying to a different state or a different country. I can preset this to have their time already in here. Incredibly useful, like I said. Stopwatch, there's all kinds of uses for that as well. Having a calculator on here, being able to identify it and calculate really quickly when you're working with formulas is super helpful. And then this one, like I said, I kind of mix and match it, whatever I'm feeling, but battery life is really, really good to have on there. The decibels, if you want a compass, there's all kinds of different complications you can have. So you can kind of play around with that one, but ultimately this has worked for me consistently. It's always given me the information I need at a glance, and it's helped me become a very good communicator with my crew and updating them on times and information that they may need on the fly. So this is my setup. I really, really like it. If I need to change it in the future, I can always post an update video, but for right now, this thing has been solid. Like I said, one of the biggest things though is having this case. Having a tough duty case is really, really important because this is an expensive piece of equipment and it does a lot, as you can see. So if you were to damage it and you're in the middle of a flight and you hit it on something really good and it stops working, well, now you're out of luck. Another little key point to note on here is having this device is great. Having all these little features at a glance is awesome. And I'm all for technology and having it help you and having it be advantageous for you when you're on flights, missions, or whatever your job is. But just make sure that you know the fundamentals. Make sure that you're confident in your abilities to work outside of technology. And what I mean by this is, if I didn't have this little watch here with all these fancy gadgets on it, you're going to have a paper for the Julian date to be able to actually see where you're at on the Julian date calendar. You're going to have a paper for Zulu time to identify, what times correlate with what time zone you're in, what's the local time, what's the Zulu time, and make sure you're getting those correct. A calculator, if you didn't have this on your wrist, you're going to have to physically have a calculator or another calculator of some sorts. Stopwatch, that's going to be just your standard watch with the seconds. But just think about the physical things that you're going to have to carry and use and how this eliminates all that. this doesn't require you to carry a calculator with you, or a Julian date paper, or a Zulu time calculator, a paper copy. You don't have to do any of that with this watch, which is really nice. But just make sure that you're comfortable doing those actions physically without technology in case this would go out. Electromagnetic interference, battery goes out, you lose it, you drop it, you break it, now you're out of luck. So instead of just panicking and not really knowing what to do, make sure you have a backup option and you know what to do in case this doesn't work. So I hope this video was informative and helpful. Let me know if you have any comments or suggestions, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.